Merry Christmas, guys, and welcome to your SmackDown review. So, yeah, you're still going to get a SmackDown review here. I was thinking, I was toying with the idea maybe skipping this week, but I watched the show yesterday on Friday. I was like, I figured, you know what? Let's do it. I'll give my subscribers and viewers, by the way, best way to start off 2022 is subscribing here because I've got a ton of videos planned. I'm also going to do, as a lot of people, well, not a lot, but about 31 votes or so cast in the poll that I put up. I said, what would you rather see? Related to non-wrestling content, of course. Would you rather see a Sonic Unleashed retrospective, or would you rather see a Majin Buu retrospective? It looks like the Majin Buu retrospective is winning out quite substantially. It was like 60 to 40% last time I looked. So, with that in mind, I've already started recording the audio for that retrospective. Those take some time, mind you, because yeah, I have to match up certain. Uh, I use a lot of like clips that I find online and everything. That will take a little bit of time to get together, but I'm expecting to probably get that one up sometime next week, if not sooner. Who knows? When I get some time, and I usually get going on a video, I usually keep working on it till it's finished. So there you go, guys. In case you're wondering, yes, I have looked at the results on that poll, and we will be carrying through with it. But anyway, hope everyone had a great Christmas. Hope you're currently having a great Christmas. And so here we go with this review of the SmackDown Christmas Eve edition. And yeah, this show right here, I mean, wow, what a waste of time. I saw actually, WWE posted up on their YouTube channel. I was saying to myself, well, it's Christmas Eve, so they don't always put all their, big matches up at this time, but I looked on Christmas Day, mind you. They had Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens in the steel cage, and they had that lead in from the NFL game. So maybe it's because of that, but like, you see what I mean? What a drop off. We didn't even have Roman Reigns on this show. We didn't have quite a few people on this show, mind you. No Brock Lesnar, of course. I mean, I can't expect him to be there every week based on his current contract. I get it, but man, they weren't even really trying on this show. They just put it on autopilot. They gave you the gauntlet match. They threw in a few other little things, and and what they gave us really was pretty fucking sad. And also, I look back on like old episodes of Raw and SmackDown, and when there was Christmas falling on that day, or close to it, they make sure they really themed the fuck out of those shows. They made sure that those shows were like Christmas themed and just above all else, just fun and put you in the Christmas spirit, even though it's supposed to be a wrestling show. They made it like they made you feel the season spirit. They made you feel Christmassy, and this just really made you feel down in the dumps and like you were really wasting your time. So what do we get? We kick things off with Heyman and Kayla Braxton in an interview. Heyman was like sort of unshaven. You'd think he'd have like more facial hair if he didn't shave for a whole week. But I guess Heyman really doesn't have like facial hair growing capabilities, or they just told him like not to shave like the day before he shot this or something. Whatever the case may be. And he says that he still thinks that Roman Reigns is the greatest Universal Champion. He says, but he doesn't feel that there is a spot for him. He doesn't feel like handpicking a new superstar to mentor and bring them to the top. And he says, but Roman Reigns still needs to be protected. I really get the feeling that there's going to be like a double cross, and we're going to have Heyman siding back with Roman Reigns. I just feel that that's the way, you know. Thank God they're not going the route of putting him back with Brock Lesnar, as I said last week. That would be a huge mistake because, as far as I'm concerned, keep the mic in Brock Lesnar's hands. He's doing so well, you know, doing his own promos. Like I said, for years and years, they wasted doing this cartoonish shtick with Heyman, saying the same shit over and over. And for them not to go back to that is very refreshing. You know, you could only do that so many times before you make people's heads explode. And mine had already exploded a long time ago. Anyway, we get our first match. It's Charlotte defeating Toni Storm in probably one of the weakest fucking matches. This was just botch-filled. It was cringeworthy. There was one part where Charlotte's just pie-facing Toni Storm down saying, get mad. She's like the worst acting facial expression-wise I've ever seen. I don't know why so many people said Toni Storm was like this firecracker in NXT. You know, this is how it always goes. They were so good in NXT, but we bring them to the main roster, and you know, and that may be the case for certain superstars, but like, you know, really was Shotzi and some of the others that much better? Was Tegan Nox, you know, who has like nothing going on? Were any of these like so much better in NXT? Everyone likes to say that, oh, they were so much better when there really wasn't a lot. You know, the only one I could say for certain is like Karrion Kross, where they barely even gave that guy a chance. Same thing goes for Gunner. You know, they barely did anything with that guy. You know, Jackson Riker barely gave the guy a chance. So, yeah, you could definitely make that argument for certain people, but it gets out of hand when people constantly say it for everybody. Oh, this one was so much better next. Oh, they're just not doing him justice. Yeah, I don't think she's a very good wrestler. I think that's what the problem is. I think that she needs a lot more training. You know, she's a pretty face. The girl looks great. And, you know, like I said, not everyone's going to be a great wrestler. Like I see a ton of people always talking about, Liv Morgan, she deserves a push. She deserves to be women's champion. Like, really? Like, you're really looking at, like, the way that girl wrestles and saying we should give her a wrestling title? You know, like, just because you think one of the divas is pretty doesn't mean they should, like, give her a championship and make her out to be, like, the greatest athlete. It's just really stupid sounding, if you ask me. But here, we just had a lot of, like, weird moments and botches. We had a really horrible looking figure four where, like, it's almost like, you know that wasn't, like, Charlotte's fault. You could pretty much tell that Toni Storm, like, is not good at taking figure fours. Like, she never took a figure four. I've never seen like such a fucked up looking figure four in all my life. But also, like, I don't know whose fault it was. I mean, let's not get into the game of like whose fault, and we're not gonna play that game. We're not gonna do the JD thing and the YWC internet wrestling community shtick where we go, oh, it was her fault. It was her. She sandbagged. You know, like, no, we're not doing that. But like, you know, whatever it is, we're supposed to have professionals on our TV, and we're getting this moonsault, which, you know, I don't get this. Like, do a backflip and then do another backflip like a moonsault. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I get it. Like, if you're Christopher Daniels and you're doing like the BME, you're springing into one rope and springing into another rope. But this thing that Andrade used to do, this moonsault, but you land on your feet and then you moonsault again. And I'm like, what? Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is just like a really like weird, stupid looking move. Like, why would you stop and then do it again? It's like one of those dumb looking moves. It's like something out of, well, Liv Morgan's moveset. So I don't know why Charlotte, being a good athlete like she is, and I don't know if it was that she was out of place, but some like either Charlotte tripped, but we get like one of the worst looking moonsaults. Like I don't know, like it just something went horribly wrong there, and then it ends after all these botches with like a really bad roll up, and that's how we end the match. Yeah, we get with a roll up finish. That's the best that we could do. And you know, Toni Storm, of course. Oh, she's the loser. Like it's so just man. What, like, why do they insist on having these women's matches when they're so bad all the time? They're like consistently like the worst matches on the card. But and like for fuck's sake, call an audible if things are going wrong. And this was also one of the most quiet crowds of all time. You know, like I get it. You know, we're not going to put our best foot forward because a lot of people are busy on Christmas Eve. But why was it whenever we got Christmas shows back in the day, they cared? Like people will watch it if it was good. You'd get more people than you wouldn't. You know, if it was actually a good show and people could actually expect a good show. But you give shit shows the whole year, and then when it comes time to do your Christmas show, it's even worse. And, you know, we're all just left looking like idiots watching it, basically. And, God, if you paid a ticket to go see this, I don't know what to tell you. Of course, you're going to get the usual peanut gallery of AEW. Oh, that's why they should have bought an AEW ticket. Like, yeah, we all know that. But yeah, call an audible. 20 minutes of horrible botches. Like, obviously you're not doing well, so it's time to bring it home, girls. No, keep going. Keep looking like idiots out there. Keep looking like amateurs while the crowd sits on their hands because they're seeing an amateur performance. There's been better indie matches than this. Like, it just looked just so awful. Like, really just horrible in every way. This is like one of the worst matches I think I've seen in quite some time, mind you. We got Drew McIntyre and New Day in the back with just this really shitty segment. And there's like one thing that could have really like saved this segment and not made it as cringy. When they were doing their retarded laughs, Kofi, Kingston, and Xavier was, you know, I look at this and I seriously say to myself, Kofi Kingston used to be a WWE champion. And this is the whole reason why I had, a problem with him being champion in the first place. He's acting like a clown. You're not going to take this guy seriously as a main eventer. He's never been a main eventer. I've done rants on this since 2014, I believe, maybe 2013. When people were saying, oh, if it wasn't for Randy Orton burying him, he would have been a world champion. And it was those vocal minority mamalukes that brought it to the forefront, and it became a reality in 2019. And good old Brad had to take a break because we had, just Mr. Wrestling. Wrestling is my gimmick, Seth Rollins. And I know, now I like the guy. I don't really see too much of what he's doing on Raw, but he was doing a good job on SmackDown. But Kofi Kingston, where Rollins elevated himself over time because he got away from wrestling is my gimmick to, being an actual heel that has a character and, actually became a pretty stimulating character. He made a character that we don't see too much of in wrestling. Kofi Kingston, on the other hand, he doubled down on the goofballish clownery. And now he's the right-hand man to Xavier Woods. Shouldn't it be the other way around? Shouldn't it be Xavier Woods following Kofi Kingston around? I mean, isn't Kofi held that belt for like 10 months or something like that? Maybe I'm being generous. Maybe it was more like 8 or 9 months. But I mean, I can't believe it. You're looking back on the history books, no matter how prestigious those history books may or may not be, but you've got this guy on the show and you tout him as a former WWE champion still, and we're seeing him act like a complete ass with Xavier Woods. I mean, I'm looking at this. I'm just saying this is pitiful. I can't believe that this is the standard for a WWE champion, a former one. But yeah, so they're in the back, and what I said would have made this better is there comes a part where they start laughing hysterically like complete fucking morons. Like, honestly, who would be a fan of this Xavier Woods character? I'm sure there's some people out there, oh, I like it that he's the king. He's become even more dislikable. He just, if you ask me, he acts more like a cocky heel that you'd want to boo. And so they're laughing, and then it looks like Drew McIntyre is like not laughing, because they're making fun of Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin. And so Drew's not laughing. So I'm like, okay, yes, he's trying to show that he's the more serious one of the bunch headed into the 6-man tag tonight. That's sure to not be a good match, but whatever, not make for any good moments. And he refused to laugh, but then they laugh again, and then Drew goes, ha, 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 like, I'm like, oh God. They could have saved that by him trying to be the strong-willed one and him being the one that wouldn't laugh, because he's not the complete clownish moron like the rest of them. But of course, they have to have that moment. Oh, he laughs. See, so that's the funny part of it. To me, it was cringy as hell. Then we get Knocker Murphy and Boogs coming out. McAfee marks out for them. Then we get a recap. And then we get Xyla Lee cutting a promo on Natalya. I just really don't get this. You debut, you're not seen last week, then they give you a vignette this week, and that's it. You're not going to even appear. And this would have been the perfect show to like give Xyla Lee a match, even if it was a squash match, just like get her out there, right? But no, just a vignette, just her staring at the camera, just bland and boring. And you present this character that that has these beautiful vignettes and everything, and this epic entrance that they've given her with the lightning and everything, and then she's cutting this very dull and drab and supposedly intense promo, but I'm just here not caring. She's talking like Mandarin or Cantonese, I don't know which dialect it was, but I can't get into this. Who's watching this saying, oh, I'm seriously into this promo? No, sorry, but you've got to get her in there physically, because obviously the promos are not going to get it done if it's not accompanied by this beautiful animation that was shown in the vignettes. This is not cutting it. Anyway, we come back, and it's time for the gauntlet, the 12 days of Christmas gauntlet match, and the winner is going to get a shot at the IC title, and Knocker Murphy and Boogs are there watching. So we'll run through the matches here. So Angel Garza starts things off. He defeats Mansoor in a so-so match. Okay, Mansoor, he hasn't been seen in over a month since that tag with Cesaro. Then Angel Garza then defeats Eric of the Viking Raiders. They always try to show Eric is this big, powerful guy, and he's losing to Angel Garza of all people. I was kind of surprised by that, but Shanky comes in, he beats Angel, then Ivar comes in and he beats Shanky. Then we get Sheamus defeating Ivar, and this was a little bit more decent, something more that I'd be more akin to seeing these two big guys going at it. Then Drew Gulak comes out, who has been seen chanting for an egg, chanting for Xavier, this goofball backstage. McAfee has been putting him over backstage. He comes out, gets brogue kicked, gets pinned. Then Sheamus and Cesaro go at it, and Ridge Holland gets involved. Cesaro ends up eating the brogue kick and gets pinned. Then Ricochet comes in, and Cesaro comes, distracts Sheamus because he attacks Holland at ringside, preventing him from interfering. Ricochet gets a roll-up on Sheamus, gets the pin on him here. Then Ricochet defeats Humberto Carrillo. Ricochet then defeats Jinder Mahal. But then ends up losing to Sami Zayn in the last match round of this gauntlet. So the way how this ended, like Sami Zayn is supposed to be this heel character. He's supposed to be underhanded, and you didn't get any of this. It just ends with a haluva kick. There wasn't even any funny business or anything involved. Like, okay, like this would have been a good way of him maybe manipulating the results of the gauntlet, but he just kind of comes out at the end, and Ricochet is all like beat to hell and everything at this point. So I guess that's supposed to be the thing, but like that's the match. So Sami Zayn didn't live up to his character here. To me, yeah, this whole thing was like pretty boring. I mean, some of the parts were like okay wrestling, but this was like 40 minutes altogether, 45 minutes maybe, if I'm being generous here with the time. But like, holy shit, this just showed that they had like nothing planned for tonight. Like, yeah, they had this plan like a week in advance, but like they had really nothing going for this whole entire night. So they just threw a whole fucking. This kind of reminded me of a few years back, like on an episode of Raw when they just threw this big ass gauntlet match out there, and Seth Rollins like was in there for 60 minutes. At least it wasn't that long. Like just really long, boring stuff. Nothing interesting at all happened. You had one of your most interesting characters, Sami Zayn, just comes out there and wrestles a bland, boring match. Anyway, we've got the Paul Heyman package that was actually pretty nicely put together. They run through him in WCW and ECW. They even showed the Invasion, him getting involved with that, and Brock Lesnar, and leading up to Roman Reigns. It was pretty good to see all this, like what Heyman has done. And I mean, without a doubt, the guy has had a long, extensive career. He's had an impact on the industry. But this guy is just, the act is too over the top. If he went back to the way he was, like in the early 2000s, hey, I take him in a heartbeat. I love that version of Paul Heyman. I always loved circa 2003, 2004 Paul Heyman being a GM, but this my client Brock Lesnar and doing the over top thing, acting like a complete cartoon character, that stuff's got to go. I never liked that version of Paul Heyman, and for some reason WWE likes it. I guess McMahon likes it. He likes him being that over the top cartoonish character, but I've always hated it. It's why I'm praising to the heavens the fact that Brock Lesnar has finally reclaimed the microphone from Paul. I am so ecstatic that has happened, and that we don't have to listen to the Heyman stuff with him just jostling on in the background or at his side week after week like we were for so many years. Then we get our main event, and of course it's retarded as hell. Drew McIntyre and New Day defeating the Usos and Madcap Moss in a Miracle on 34th Street fight. We've had this for like so many years. I think we had one last year. It is just plain moronic already. They're throwing these presents at each other, throwing each other into the trees. We could obviously see there's nothing in the boxes. Xavier Woods opens a package. He pulls out a steel chair. They're pouring eggnog on Baron Corbin and Madcap Moss. Mercilessly, it ends with Drew McIntyre hitting the bro kick on Madcap Moss inside the ring. So that was that basically. So with that said, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This right here was a really horrible, bad episode, to tell you the truth. It was just pretty fucking awful and cringy. And, you know, like, I never like this sort of stuff because it really cheapens when they try to do, like, violence later on. I never liked, like, the comedic sort of violence. Like, there's a funny way of doing things. Like, for example, Al Snow with a bowling ball in the groin. Like, yeah, but that would really hurt. But when we do this, like, fake, like, really fake looking hardcore street fighting stuff, it really just cheapens it when it happens later on and we're supposed to take it seriously. Yeah, just really bad, horrible stuff. I did not like it. And this whole night was just a big fucking bore to me. It was just really bad the whole way through. An overly long gauntlet match with nothing to offer. A terrible opening match. And this main event, which just, it says, was as throwaway as you could get. With that said, yeah, this was probably one of the worst SmackDowns I've seen in quite some time. Like, absolutely no contest. Probably the best thing on it, the Paul Heyman package. Probably, I'm being perfectly honest with you. That was a good video package. The rest of it, absolutely horrible. So with that said, hope you guys all had a good Christmas. Hope you enjoyed the video here on this beautiful Christmas day. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. Thanks again, guys. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next time.